what I've realized is कि इसके पीछे पैसे का भी एक रोल है कि एक बड़े clean, scientific, democratic तरीके से people earn through these mediums. तो अगर हम YouTube को लेते हैं तो nobody can refute the way YouTube pays its content creators. Of course, there are some gray areas like they demonetize certain videos of certain creators which are not as per the rules and regulations of how content should be broadcasted. ऐसी चीजें हैं. But our next topic is such like how is it financially worthwhile for digital content creators to be on these digital platforms? And I would like to ask Tarika this question first.
So, actually, Rahul, I'm really glad that you've asked me this question because I feel like, this is the one space that lets you decide what your level of monetization is going to be, And what I really mean by that is that you could be someone like me who has digital content creation as a side hustle, and that's fine, and I'm okay with that. Or you could be somebody.
What's
a hustle? Oh, maybe I'm just a hustler, so I just like to hustle.
Okay.
So for me, it's very, very much a side hustle, and I'm fine with that. But there was a time before this when I was definitely doing this full time, and I did various aspects of it. So I did the writing, I did the videos, I did freelance work and things like that. Whereas now, my own work, my own content creation is a side hustle for me, and I'm okay with that. But it gives you that opportunity. There are those who want to do this full time, are able to devote that much time to it, create that kind of content, pump out that kind of content, and scale things up to reach a certain level of monetization and everything. So I think it allows you to figure this out. It totally depends on how you want to do it. I mean, today from the channels that I subscribe to on YouTube or the people I follow on Instagram, a lot of them are people, there's a doctor who is creating videos on YouTube and is talking about how he manages his time and productivity and things like that. And I find that fascinating. And that is a side hustle for him. So, it's interesting to see कि कौन क्या करना चाहता है और कौन क्या कर सकता है.
Just to intervene for a second, if I might. What you are saying is we are seeing a lot of brand extensions through digital. So somebody who's already developed his credibility in the non-digital world is using digital as a way of extending his audience or engaging the audience, essentially.
Oh, absolutely. That part, and also the fact that today you don't have to have a certain qualification to, start earning or monetizing your work. What was the thing? Like for us growing up, this was unheard of, right? You had to go to school, you had to go to college, you had to graduate, you could do some internship and make a little bit of money, which would contribute to nothing in the scheme of things. But here, you could be a kid on Instagram or on YouTube and be making money, So it is that is the most important. The game has changed in that sense, So you could be that kid. What were the avenues if you were a child? Either you had to be a Doogie Howser MD and really graduate.
No, that was a first TV show which came out on Star. I remember that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you see that, we didn't have that option as kids, right? We didn't have that option. It was fiction for us to do that, right? Or you became a child star in movies and things like that, But how many people had that opportunity, But today you could have an idea and you could be monetizing that. So I think that game of monetization and of what you want to do when is in your hands today in that sense.
Fantastic. You're right. Anirudh, what's your perspective on this?
See, my perspective is that it boils down to two words. Essentially, when you ask how do you make it financially worthwhile, and this is not just for people who've come in and been in this space, but for people who are now also looking at coming in, I would just say two words to them are key out here. One is patience. The second is relevance. So when you asked me the question on reach also, I said what has actually taken over reach is a matter of relevance. how relevant you are. पहली बात जो पेशेंस की है, तो मैं बता दूं कि ये भाई, ये जिसे कहते हैं ना कि this is not the game for weak-hearted people. And that's where a lot of churn is still going to happen in this medium. As you see, a lot of people are coming into this medium of thinking they can become content creators and jumping in from various backgrounds, and all is great, but not everybody is being able to financially monetize it. And होता ये है कि यार मैं 6 महीने से कुछ बना रहा हूँ, मेरे को एक कौड़ी नहीं मिली इसमें, 1 साल से बना रहा हूँ, कुछ बन ही नहीं रहा, उसमें कोई पैसा ही नहीं बन रहा, तो और किसी और को हम देख रहे हैं, अरे इसके तो यार 20 मिलियन फॉलोअर हो गए, इसके 25 मिलियन फॉलोअर हो गए. So the fact is that there are two differentiating factors between successful people in this medium and unsuccessful people. Is that people who are successful are patient and they are relevant. Those two criterion are defining somebody who's being able to financially crack it versus somebody who's not being able to financially crack it. Obviously, it's needless to say that you need to have the financial acumen also. मैं समझ में होनी चाहिए कि मैं कैसे क्रैक करूं. बट हर क्षेत्र में आप देख लो, आप YouTube देख लो, आप TikTok देख लो, आप Instagram देख लो, they have their stars of their own. Each medium has their freshly bred, fresh crop of stars, and they didn't just come suddenly one day. They have built it over a period of time. One, two, they come with something completely fresh. There is no space for another third person in that space, in that domain that you're looking at. So there are, when you look at a Carrie Minati, when you look at completely different, when you look at Raftar or Divine in a music space, or when you look at in TikTok, if you look at Mr. Faizu, if you look at your comedy space, there is obviously a TVF brand is built on the Filmi network. And AIB is built.
You're absolutely right, but मेरा जो personal view आप दोनों को सुनने के बाद वो ये है कि जो मुझे लगता है कि देखिए इसके अंदर ना, it is like what the guy is bringing to YouTube or the digital platform, and what is his perspective, how he'll earn out of this. So if you look, take an example like somebody like let's say Technical Guruji, who's India's largest mobile phone and electronics reviewer, right? And he has some 13-14 million followers. So he doesn't make much money out of the reviews he does, but he makes a lot of money through events and product launches and brand endorsements. So he was called for the S20 Ultra Plus, he was called for iPhone, by NDTV Gadget Guru. So he makes money on those things more than his YouTube revenues. Similarly, something very refreshing, which I found a bit shady in the beginning, but is Dr. Vivek Bindra. Now, Bindra is running this large entrepreneurship university sort of thing on YouTube. Now, he has 13 million followers, but where he makes his money is by selling those seminars, which are offline. So all those entrepreneurship seminars, which he does in tier 2 cities like Raipur, Jaipur, he charges for 2 lakh rupees for each. And from there, he has a 18 crore turnover. So I think that's where the idea lies, that monetization is just not on the platform, but it's also there because of the platform.
No, I think there are two things that I will bring up. One, you're absolutely right. When you look at this, today more than ever, you are an entrepreneur in whatever you are doing as a content creator, absolutely. Right? Earlier, when I managed talent at let's say Yashraj Films and all, they had us as business managers to think about their business decisions, right? So today as a content creator, you wear the creative hat, you're also wearing the business negotiator, planner, yes. Or you're wearing, or you're handling your contracts, your deals, all of that, right? So that onus, so you become like this mini talent management thing on your own in that sense, except you are the producer, the creator, director, everything in that sense, right? So one is that. The other is that, I think Anirudh was talking about the numbers and the definition of success. As I see, as you said, Anirudh, the game is going to change to relevance. So is the definition of success now as we go forward. Because now I feel, like you said, Anirudh, it's not going to be about the millions of subscribers, right, anymore. It's going to be about, how you can capture your audience. So for instance, I could be finding a lot of relevance from someone who has just 10,000 followers on Instagram, for that sense, right? But for me, that person's content might ring through as really authentic, right? So for a brand that wants to target somebody like me, they will come to me through that person. So the definition of success now as we go forward definitely is going to go beyond the number of subscribers. That's a great metric, I feel, right now, when you want to show I'm this, I'm that, and all of those things. But that definition is going to change. So going by that, Anirudh, I would say that the definition of success also in this is going to change with 5G.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's why I mentioned this word, that for me, reach is definitely over. Reach as a metric is not going to be necessarily the game out here. Now, I mean, Rahul, you brought it out beautifully that when you're looking at how do I make it financially worthwhile for a content creator, there is an avenue to it. It's not necessarily direct. You could go on an offline medium also. Within the medium also, it's not about the eyeballs. Like what Tarika was saying, that I could be relevant for 10,000 people and make a killing out of that, because those 10,000 people could be specifically very important and targeted for certain set of brands. And you could have brand tie-ups coming in for that person because you are able to crack that TG like nobody else does. And that is also a possibility. So one is the eyeballs, which obviously is a certain way and certain mediums pay you for the eyeballs you get. The other is in terms of the relevance and the brand connect you're able to connect through that for certain targeted audience. Third is obviously the offline magnification of it in various formats, whether it's events, whether it's media, whether it's going to be endorsements, and all of it is going to keep opening up and exploding from where we are. Yeah. Which is why the whole term, and we discussed it a lot, is that, and I think that's something which is important in our discussion also, is that whole culture of celebrities is very rapidly getting converted into influencers.
Okay, so
and influencers means in the space that you are into. That's why relevance is.
Anirudh, we are running a little bit short of time, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
But I get your point, and in fact, what you've just hinted is actually our next last point to be discussed in this episode. Is that can there be a crossover from YouTube to the big screen? So can somebody from YouTube be the next Shah Rukh Khan or the next Salman Khan, who's a content creator on YouTube? We're talking about not just Bollywood. We're talking about somebody, for example, a journalist or a creator on news. Can he be as big as Arnab Goswami? Similarly, can the YouTube guy be the big studio guy as well? Tarika.
So, I think a few years ago, again, this is pre-Geo Revolution. I keep going back to like the pre and post of that being the benchmark for...
Reed Hastings, the CEO of Netflix, when he came to Delhi, I had gone to that HT Leadership Summit, and he clearly said that India, to me, from Netflix perspective, post-Geo is something else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you. So, I think till then the conversation used to be, digital has given us some great faces, great content. But, and I've worked in television as well, but there was this whole thing of, ye faces na TV pe nahi chalte hain. There was this whole, and you probably heard this conversation a lot. Mm-hmm. Today, when I'm sitting here in 2020, in the midst of this COVID pandemic and talking to you, I would say that the paradigm of crossover has changed, where you're seeing films release on OTT platforms. So I think the whole paradigm of a crossover has changed completely. I think you're seeing Bollywood crossover to digital more than digital crossing over to Bollywood. So it's all
Bollywood has been, just to intervene, Bollywood has been Rogered as well as rehabilitated on digital. So I'm talking about this entire unfortunate Sushant Singh Rajput incident, and the way digital has gone on Bollywood actors and celebrities, and how digital is actually creating that weird balance, out of. See, I think it's a very interesting point, but do you really think we can have stars from YouTube?
You already do. You already do. I mean, you keep talking about Carrie Benati. So you already have someone who, I mean, I don't know what Kaiminati's situation is when he steps out of his house and how many people recognize him and things like that. Bhuvan Bam, Shirley Setia, you're already seeing this crossover. What you will see now going forward is a more seamlessness in this. So, I mean, and I keep coming back to the music industry. You're talking about Bollywood kind of going through a bit of a turbulent patch and everything. Whereas I think that after the pop revolution of the 90s, when I must say I was very young then, I was in school, at that point of time, I mean, it saddened me completely to see music just become Bollywood music in India for a long period of time. Today, I think that because of this digital revolution, listening to music, artists have become so much more reachable to you in that sense. So, if you look at that, you've had so many stars come from there. Shirley Sethi is in a movie. She started out with YouTube videos, sitting in her home, singing in pajamas and things like that, and won a contest, and today she's in a movie, a Netflix movie. So that whole paradigm has changed, and what that crossover is going to be very interesting to me. I don't know whether you're going to say that, okay, is this person going to be on the big screen? Because I don't know whether that big screen is going to be relevant anymore.
Fantastic. Anirudh, what's your perspective? Quick on this.
By quickly, so not very different from what you guys are saying. Essentially, your question, going back to the question, can it happen? Of course, anything can happen. Never say never to anything. Does it need to happen? No. Why does digital need to cross over to Bollywood? You guys have stated yourself, it's Bollywood which is needing to cross over to digital right now. वो लोग ढूंढ रहे हैं भैया हम कैसे आए इस मीडियम में, and they are already too late. They missed the bus. Already digital मीडियम में चाहे तुम कहीं भी देख लो, already उनके अपने खुद के सुपरस्टार हैं, उनको नहीं चाहिए ये बॉलीवुड के लोग. And I'm not getting into the current debate that is going on in terms of sentiment कि क्यों कह रहे हैं कि बॉलीवुड नहीं चाहिए, वो तो अलग ही बात है. बट उनके अलग सुपरस्टार है. यूट्यूब में आप कोई भी आप ट्रेलर लॉन्च कर लो किसी भी बड़े सुपरस्टार का, उस दिन अगर भुवन बाम का वीडियो लॉन्च हो रहा है, नंबर 1 ट्रेंडिंग का भाई भुवन बाम होगा. ये लोग नहीं होंगे, कुछ भी कर लो.
इसमें एक और
crossover. I'll just point out very clearly visible. आप अगर सुपरस्टार देख रहे हैं, मेरी नजर में जो सुपरस्टार है वो जाकिर खान है, जिसकी एक स्टैंड अप कॉमेडी का वीडियो दिल्ली में जो उसने एक इवेंट पे करता है, वो रिकॉर्ड होके यूट्यूब पे जाता है, एंड इट इज एट अ मैसिव सक्सेस. फ्रॉम देयर ही गेट्स shows after shows and each get put on the digital medium, to his journey on Amazon Prime and his one show, then 2 shows, and recently put out a video.
That show is called Chacha Vidhayak hai hamare. That's on.
उसके बाद recent video आया है where he's put out that Amazon Prime has signed him for 5 shows which are going to be on Amazon Prime. You tell me one superstar who has got that deal. Who's a superstar now? He's the biggest superstar.
With all due respect to Abhishek Bachchan is taking the refuge of Prime now for Breathe, Into the Shadows. It's a great show. He's done a good job actually. And I'm not a very big fan of Abhishek, but this show was done very well. And what has happened now is that we are seeing a lot of curation in this entire process. Like, you now have a very defined metrics, demographics of who is watching you, who is looking at you,
and for what. And for what also is very important.
And for what, yes, absolutely.
Clear definitions है. मुझे गाने सुनने हैं तो मुझे इसके गाने सुनने हैं. मुझे ये artist मेरा जो, and I'm saying today's youth, they have their playlist defined. If I want to look at humor, everybody has a specific stand-up comedians or certain kind of channels that they follow. If I'm looking at a certain kind of a snacky content, there are TikTok stars, there are Instagram stars, there are certain kind of people I want to follow in terms of costumes, in terms of talk, everything. I mean, I want to point out, and I'm saying in terms of finding a niche also, we discussed somebody like Kusha Kapila out here, who I think is brilliant. Brilliant because she has a connect in a certain sense with the masses also, and yet she's able to sell herself to the brands for being relevant to a certain class also. So I don't know, she might not have the same numbers as Bhuvan Bam, but she's doing a brilliant job in terms of monetizing the base that she has. There are different kind of content creators, different superstars who have come in. We might hate him, but KRK is a superstar on the digital medium.
Well, I think there's a lot of use of innovation and a lot of use of new ideas at work. So if you look at KRK, So you can't really, so I review, and I've been writing for last 2-3 years. Anirudh, you know that. Tarika, I assume you also know that. That I've been writing a lot on films. And so, I'm a film school guy, studied in LA 2.5 years, worked with JJ Abrams' production house. So all that stuff I did. And here I am writing movie reviews. And I used to think, if you want to do a movie review, you have to be inspired by a movie to write. But when you look at KRK, he brings a very earthy, very down-to-earth view of things. He is like a village guy with the village sense of understanding kya sahi hai, kya galat hai. He goes out there and he takes names, and he does that in very, very minimal budgets, just one little iPhone wherever he's recording himself. He never uses any heavy marketing, and he speaks all the right things at the right time. And according to me, it's not film criticism. And in fact, that's one episode I and Anirudh have been thinking of doing. Maybe you can join us on that as well, about what is the difference between film critics and film reviewers. So, so we are seeing, you're right, the new superstars are different. But anyways, guys, this has been a very interesting episode. We spoke about a host of issues about the digital superstars on the digital platforms, and we have been speaking a lot about monetization, about how innovation has been coming up in the last few years, and how overall the entertainment sector in India has been impacted by it. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Tarika, for joining us. Thank you, Anirudh, for joining, both of you from Bombay. This is Rahul Gupta, your Filmi Baniya, signing off for Filmi Charcha. Many thanks.
Thank you.